year with Miss Vaccaro, and by the time I hit senior year, I had already applied to some scholarships that I managed to find, specifically for dance. Like I said earlier, thankfully now I'm blessed to have almost enough aid to attend Chapman. They gave me the most amount of money, and I think the biggest advice I can give to all of you guys when it comes to scholarships specifically, when you're looking at your schools, there are 3 things that you should really be looking for. Number 1, are you happy? Do you see yourself there? Because that's what's going to matter in the end. That's what determines whether or not you stay. Number 2, do they have what you are looking for? As in like your major or like what you want to do in life. And combined with that is like, what's their acceptance rate? Number 3, do they give scholarships? Are they full need? Because a lot of people, like I switched friend groups recently, and my old friend group, they were all looking at their colleges like, oh, I want to go there because like the campus is pretty, but they're like really expensive. And I'm like, okay, well, if their acceptance rate is like 15% and they're a really expensive school, what makes you stand out? These are the things that you got to think about when you're going through that college process. Because I was blessed enough to go with Magis on our SoCal tour, which all of you guys should sign up for.
Yeah, go on.
Sign up. Even if you're not sure you can go, sign up because it's so much fun. But when I toured Chapman at first, sophomore year, they were like, we sometimes need full need. And I was like, this is a school that I'm going to apply to simply because when push comes to shove, they can give me a lot of scholarships.
I would say that, just kind of drawing it back to the Magis part, because this for a very long time has been my sort of greater family, in a sense that they're constant. And it's weird because high school is so boggy and weird and changing, and sometimes you hate yourself, but you also hate your friends, but you also just rely on people, and it's really awkward because you're like, should I tell them that I want to cry all the time, or should I just keep that to myself? Sorry, weird tangent, but I went to Magis Middle School, missed those days. It was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Every summer felt like a new adventure. I was very different back then. It's like, in your middle school self, and you're like, oh, who is that? Don't look at that. That's not there. That was me, but I needed to be around people of color, people in the same ish financial bracket, people who were not represented in higher learning, educators who were not represented in higher learning, because if I can't see myself in their shoes at some point, even though I don't want to be a teacher, then I don't think I could be able to see myself at a college in the first place. And my parents were like, you have to go to college. So, not seeing myself was not an option. Coming into high school, it felt, just looking at my identities, it felt almost easier to distance myself from Magis because I didn't fit in, or because, all of my friends are going to hang out in Wiegand. But it never became a place where I was not invited. So stay with your connections, because you don't have to ask your chem teacher for recommendation. You can ask Miss Hernandez, you can ask Miss Vaccaro. You pretty sure we can ask you guys, right? Yeah, we can ask them. But with that in mind, you don't have to make your connections where everyone else is making their connections, because the family part is really important, because you're gonna want to cry all through the application process. And when you finish your application, your friends are still procrastinating, and you want to be given a pat on the back, and they're like, don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. Miss Vaccaro is going to be like, did you apply? And you're going to be like, yeah. And she's going to give you a high five, and it's going to feel really good. Because at the end of the day...
Congratulations.
Right. I forgot to do that. But you know what? I still felt like I had the option to. And sometimes your surroundings are not going to support you in the way you need it. Magis will do that. So keep them close.
Okay, I'll be short. No, you're good. You're good. We don't have that much time. Anyways, but just going back to what Kaya said about really utilizing the Magis program and just the community that is there, because to be honest, that's really all we got. We go to a PWI, we don't have much here. So really utilizing seeing so many people of color in one space, even if it is the corner, it's still a space. You know what? It's fine. We'll expand soon. But still, just utilizing the community, utilizing the resources from teachers and just staff who want to support you and they're actually on your side. And Miss Vaccaro, she will definitely be on you about college stuff. she will be on you literally from freshman year. She will make sure that you get your stuff done because, and like all the other staff in Magis, they care about you. They really want to see you succeed. So really just like utilizing every resource you have.
So I was blessed to have Miss Vaccaro as both my personal counselor and in Magis. So I saw her all the time. I started attending like the college workshops like pretty early, like sophomore year. And it was when we were like virtual, that's what I would do. But it was so helpful. She made me apply to all these programs, which I'm so thankful for. I applied to so many scholarships. I can't keep count, to be honest. But it was a lot of work, but I'm so thankful for it and everything that I went through. What else was I gonna mention? Basically, being Latinx was a big part of my application, and it could be of yours too, being a person of color. So I think that's really something that made me stand out and talking about my identity and how I develop it in my school and really express it in other aspects. So you can definitely mention all different aspects of your identity of being in a predominantly white school, like Joy mentioned. And I really recommend that. Just express yourself on the application and really attend those workshops and apply to so many scholarships. I cannot stress it enough. There's so many times I got denied. I applied, let's say like 20, I got something like 3. So to put that into perspective, I recommend doing local scholarships mostly. So
within Magis, I'd say definitely use the resources there. Oftentimes the college application process can seem very lonely or kind of like you're doing it all by yourself, because that's how it felt for me. But having Magis and like Miss Vaccaro and the college workshops really made it easier for me to feel confident that I'm able to kind of take the next steps into higher education and that I'm not alone. And then when it comes to looking at your colleges and your college list, make sure that you have a variety. Schools that you know that you can get into, schools that are target schools, and then schools that are reaches. Because for me, I know that my list was more on like the target reach side, I would say, and Ms. Vaccaro really pushed for more likelies, which I'm grateful for. Mainly do your research, because there's one thing to apply to a school just because of its name or the campus, and there's another because you know that you'd be successful there and that you'd see yourself there. For me, I did do a lot of the research when it came to writing supplements, and I found aspects within every college that I applied to that I could see myself being successful at the end of the day or thriving. And then through the college process in itself, I get a lot of financial aid at SI, but that doesn't translate into kind of what college is, because you have to apply through FAFSA, and the way the government sees how much your family makes and kind of what you could offer is a lot different than maybe what you get here. Because I know for me, personally speaking, I have like my EFC, so expected family contribution, is $15K. And at SI, I only pay like, let's say $4K most. So it's like a very like big transition. And I know for me financially, like financial aid was like a big aspect of what determines where I go. And I'm like still struggling to like find what school I'm going to at the end of the day. But it's like, know that you're not alone, apply to scholarships, and apply where you see yourself being the most successful. Okay, the question was, if we could change one thing that we did throughout the college process, what would it be? And for me, I would say starting early on, it's really like emphasize that like start like summer going into senior year. So the UC application comes out August 1st, but you could, throughout the summer, you could start your PIQs, which is the personal insight questions, because they're the same like 8 and you choose 4. And it's a really good time to brainstorm, do drafts, and like edit and make sure that you have that done in time, because the UC applications due November 30th, and that comes fast. Like, yeah, the first 3 months of school, like you're getting into the rhythm of like your classes, even if like you're taking APs, but that doesn't like stop for you to do your college apps. So you want to make sure you get ahead of it and really really start early. So that's my key takeaway, like start early.
I think my key takeaway is like really know the schools that you're applying to. I think I applied to 28 schools. Out of those 28 schools, I maybe want to go to 10. So I definitely recommend like really researching the schools that you're applying to, and that they have, one, the major that you want, two, it's something that you really like, that you see the campus, you see the students that go there, maybe even like go to a Zoom call or a web seminar or something and realize maybe I could see myself here. I did that, but some schools I basically applied because of names or because, oh, it's just an easy school. I just need a safety. You can also like safeties. So definitely find some safety schools or some likely schools that you like. It'll make it easier. So yeah, just research schools.
I think for me, the biggest thing is probably applying to more scholarships, because I didn't do as many as I should, partially because of like just scheduling and stuff. Like I didn't have time, and I feel like there are moments where I could have made time to do more scholarships and I just didn't. And so that's probably the biggest thing. And also just like course load your senior year, because it's true, because colleges do look at your senior year, like transcript and like the classes you're taking, especially like if you have a major that you want to go into, they look to see what classes senior year really like make you want to go into that major. And so you do well in and you have to do well in those classes. Like you can't be slacking. That senioritis, it's here, but please just like stay with it. Like it's gonna really benefit you if you continue to do well your senior year.
Looking at it grade-wise, I have been a pretty average student, except this year my life decided to slap me in the face and say, you're going to do great this year. I'm referencing the fact that I have had the best communication with my teachers. My work has been turned in on time. I have been able to fully be present in class, and I think it's definitely because I chose to not sacrifice my livelihood for the sake of getting into a good college. Because colleges are colleges because they're colleges. There's no such thing as a bad college unless it's bad for you, because they would lose their credibility. It would not be a school if it was not supposed to be a school.
So don't sacrifice anything in your life for a school that may not accept you. It's not worth it. And think of it like a relationship. If it's not a two-way street, don't take it.
Wow. That was very, wow.
You could see why I'm single.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I think the biggest advice, or like something that I would have changed, I applied to 6 schools. I got into 5. I started my college process literally on August 1st, had everything done by August 12th. I think there's not that I've had no intentions of applying to CSUs or UCs, and I chose schools that I knew would work for me. So I don't really have too much like things I would change. Write your essay on something you actually enjoy talking about.
Oh, yes.
I wrote my essay on Percy Jackson, and a lot of schools really actually liked it. So write your essay on something that makes you stand out and like you would like want to just rant about for hours on end. Actually, the prompt that I chose was, what's something you could rant about for hours? And I was like, Percy Jackson. That's what I can do. So, and I think I would have applied to more scholarships. I didn't really have the best fall semester senior year. I was struggling a lot, so I didn't apply to a lot of scholarships. I actually let my grades drop a little. So, yeah. Oh, take Mr. White's Burning Illusion.
Yes.
It counts for college credit, and if I hadn't taken that class, my GPA would not have been, well, it wasn't that high, but it wouldn't have been as high as it was. So take Mr. White.
It's also a good class.
It's a really good class, actually.
Great for Magis students.
Yeah. So,
Burning Illusions senior year.
It's an English elective.
I think it's 407.
It's about 407.
That one.
It's about like you talk about race mostly. We like talked a little bit about sexism. And,
we didn't get too much.
But it's identity formation.
Yeah, it's a really good class. So highly recommend.
I think not compromising like your overall happiness just to get into school is really important. You know, I'm not really sure how to do that. Like, I don't really know exactly how to suggest that you do that, because I did not succeed in doing that successfully. I'm still trying to, like, figure out how to, you know, sort everything out and, you know, keep my grades up and do all that. But if you can find a way to still, you know, socialize with your friends and still, like, you know, do things that you enjoy doing and not spending so much time, like, at your desk or, like, in the house super stressed, I would still suggest you do that. Like, find something you enjoy, and I think it'll make the process a little bit easier.